ain't no real king, man. Come on, man. These kids is clowns out here, bro. When do you grow up, man, and be who you really are? Because you ain't no gangster. You don't know what a gangster is. You a prankster. You a prankster, son. Stop that.
Christian Combs allegedly found her a short time later and insisted she find him a place to sleep. She directed him to the Yacht Cinema, which was used as an extra sleeping area where he blocked her in, the suit states. Christian Combs allegedly began to touch her and took off his clothes. The suit states that his blank was blank and he grabbed her arms and was trying to force the plaintiff to perform, I guess, brains on him, the suit states.
From the moment the spotlight shifted from Diddy to his son, the entire industry felt the temperature change. It wasn't just another headline or a random rumor floating around. This was one of those moments where every whisper suddenly grows teeth. People who normally stay quiet started sliding out their takes. Industry folks were texting each other like the world was ending, and insiders started throwing around words like pressure, accountability, and responsibility. The narrative flipped almost overnight. While Diddy had been dealing with his own high-level problems, his son, who once maneuvered through the celebrity lifestyle like it was a playground, started facing a wave of attention that felt way heavier than anything he's dealt with before. And the way he reacted, that's what got everybody talking, because this wasn't the cool, confident, flashy image he was used to projecting. This was someone sounding the alarm behind closed doors, trying to stop a situation before it snowballed. For years, he cruised through life with a sense of untouchable energy. When you're part of a legacy family, it's easy to think the world will always tilt in your favor. The parties, the VIP lounges, the flashy brand partnerships, the endless social media validation, it all fed the image of someone whose biggest worry might have been what color luxury car to pull up in next. But the minute the public started connecting dots and speculating about whether he could become part of the bigger fallout surrounding his father, the narrative changed. Suddenly, he wasn't the golden child living the dream.
That's what they kill me. This Bible might come in handy. That's Bible might come in handy. That's when I know Jesus Christ the answer. Sit down if you can't stand. They wanna stop the kid like a plan. They don't understand, but they scared me. Tell them give me grace even then.
He was someone people expected to step up and face the heat. And behind the scenes, word was spreading fast that the young star wasn't handling the shift well. Some sources described him as panicked. Others said he was scrambling to make calls, trying to figure out where the line ended for him and where it began for his father. Every big industry name knows the power of perception, and when that perception slips even a little, it can trigger a chain reaction. The kind of reaction that makes brands second-guess partnerships, makes friends suddenly busy, and makes industry allies politely disappear into the background. That's the storm he found himself staring at. And according to one insider, this situation cracked something in his confidence. This wasn't him dealing with a simple PR issue. This was him trying to understand whether the decisions of another person, no matter how close, could ricochet into consequences for him. People close to the situation claim he's been reaching out privately, not trying to flex or negotiate, but trying to get help navigating a reality that feels unfamiliar and overwhelming. The kind of help you look for when you sense your world could flip upside down.
Man, what the f is you doing out here like this? He gets on the ground and start doing push-ups with him. Bruh, for real? Man, put your shirt on and get your ass back in that damn car. Stop acting like you stupid. Act like you got some sense. That's when they making the dollar make them, bruh. The dollar is making them. What you happy about? You gotta realize they know his daddy's still going to jail. They happy because they feel like the government doesn't have a right to mess with nobody's assets.
And while no official process has put him in direct danger, the speculation alone has been enough to send shockwaves through his world. Whether it's fear of public backlash, fear of being misunderstood, or fear of winding up dragged into something he never asked for, the panic is real. And if the whispers are true, he's been begging certain industry veterans for guidance before things go too far. The shift in his energy became noticeable the moment new reports started circling around the industry. Suddenly, people who used to greet him like family were treating him with a strange mix of caution and concern. It wasn't that he'd done anything new, it was simply the ripple effect of everything happening around his father. The public, hungry for answers, started dissecting every move, every appearance, every old video clip, every social media post. And even though he hadn't been accused of wrongdoing, the court of public opinion doesn't always use logic. It uses momentum, and once momentum hits, it becomes a tidal wave. He could feel it every time he refreshed his phone. Blogs posting theories, accounts dragging him into conversations he wanted no part of, and strangers creating narratives he couldn't control. That's when the panic really kicked in. People who pride themselves on staying composed under pressure don't like to admit when they're unraveling, but the insiders talking about this situation didn't hold back. They claimed he'd been calling people at odd hours, trying to get reassurance, trying to understand how to navigate something that felt way bigger than him. Some described him as overwhelmed. Others said he felt blindsided by how fast everything escalated. But the word that kept coming up was isolated, because when drama explodes on a public level, the spotlight becomes a cage. The conversations become coded. The people around you become extremely careful with their words. And for someone who has always leaned on his circle, that sudden emotional distance hit hard. Then there's the legal side, not accusations toward him, but the fear of association. Even being loosely connected to a narrative like this can bring real-world consequences. Lawyers were reportedly advising him to lay low, PR strategists were telling him to stop posting, and some close friends were telling him to stay off the scene entirely. The problem is, disappearing from the public eye creates its own kind of noise. People start assuming you're hiding something, even when you're not. And that pressure builds into something heavy. So heavy that insiders claim he started worrying about whether any move he made could be used against him in the court of public opinion. His panic wasn't just about potential legal outcomes, it was about losing his identity. For years, he'd been known as the carefree heir to an empire. Now he felt like the world was rewriting his story without his permission. That's where the fear of time inside rumors started circling. Not because he was actually in danger of it, but because the internet doesn't need facts to create a narrative. Once people started throwing that phrase around, even as a hypothetical, it created a psychological pressure cooker. Suddenly, he was fighting not just public speculation, but the fear of what that speculation could grow into.
Mama said you end up dead or in the grave. Well, which one is it, Mama? Dead or in the grave? You understand? I'm trying to figure out. Let's make that make sense. But right now, Diddy in the grave, he ain't dead. He's somewhere he can't, it's like being in a coffin you can't get out. It's like somebody threw dirt on you, you in there, but you can't get. He in the grave right now, he in Hades. He can beat on the dog, all the things, let me tell you. Whoa, that got me hot right now.
Man.
The only thing gonna save you behind them balls is God.
Now, come on now.
Don't worry, man. I said it again. Not the guards. You can call for the rank, you can call lieutenant, you call the sergeant. Guards! God, you calling the wrong one. You gotta call God.
Damn.
That's the only person gonna save you behind them balls. You can call anybody else you want for help in there. Your mama, your daddy, lieutenant this, captain that. No. You should have been calling.
And that's when he started reaching out to people he once viewed as untouchable mentors, hoping someone could help him regain control of a situation spiraling way too fast. As the buzz intensified, a deeper layer of the story started surfacing, his internal struggle with loyalty versus self-preservation. This is something a lot of people don't understand. When you grow up in a powerful family, loyalty isn't just a value, it's a lifestyle. It's part of your identity, something you don't question. But when the world starts pointing fingers in every direction, even loyalty can feel like quicksand. Insiders claim he was torn between staying quiet out of respect and speaking up to clear his own name. The problem was, any statement he made would instantly go viral, dissected and twisted in 50 different directions. Silence looked suspicious, but speaking looked risky. That's the kind of no-win situation that breaks even the most confident personas. People close to him said he spent days replaying past moments, trying to figure out whether anything he'd ever said or done could be taken out of context. That's the paranoia that comes with public scrutiny. Suddenly, every joke, every lyric, every video feels like a potential weapon. And once the internet decides you're part of a storyline, they start digging. Fans become detectives, strangers become investigators, and algorithm-fueled speculation becomes gospel. Even if you're completely innocent, the feeling of being hunted by narratives you can't control is enough to push anyone into panic mode. He also reportedly struggled with the idea of possibly distancing himself from his father, even symbolically. In the entertainment world, optics matter, but in families like his, optics are everything. A single statement like, "I'm focusing on myself right now," could have been interpreted as betrayal, but staying publicly supportive during a chaotic moment could have easily been spun into complicity. This emotional tug of war made him feel cornered. Some insiders said he broke down during conversations, admitting he didn't know how to protect himself without hurting someone he cares about. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, his team was scrambling. Advisors wanted to put strategic boundaries in place, not because he did anything wrong, but because the industry is ruthless. When things go bad, people cut ties fast. They don't wait for facts, they wait for trends. And when he started realizing how quickly brand partnerships could evaporate, how public perception could tank overnight, that's when he started begging for help from people who specialize in reputation recovery. Not influencers, not celebrities, industry fixers. People who know how to navigate storms that would drown the average person. The fear wasn't just about rumors of time inside. It was about the possibility of losing everything he built. Not because of his own actions, but because of the environment surrounding him. And the more he realized how fragile that stability was, the more frantic his calls for help became. This wasn't entitlement, it was survival instinct. He understood that once the narrative spirals out of control, it doesn't matter what the truth is. The only thing that matters is who can regain control of the spotlight first. The turning point came when someone in his circle finally told him what he didn't want to hear. You need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. Not because anyone believed he'd face actual charges, but because the public climate had become volatile. When people are emotional, they don't separate facts from feelings. And once headlines start connecting his name to heavier topics, fairly or not, it creates a psychological impact that's hard to escape. Those words hit him hard. For the first time, he had to face the possibility that his lifestyle, reputation, and opportunities could all be altered by events he didn't initiate. That realization sent him spiraling into what insiders called strategic panic, where every decision feels like it carries life-changing weight. One source claimed he even talked about stepping away from music in the public eye entirely. He felt like anything he released or posted would just fuel the ongoing discourse. If he performed, people would say he's being insensitive. If he disappeared, they'd say he's hiding. That's the scary thing about being a public figure during a scandal. Even if you're innocent, every move looks guilty to someone. So he began asking for advice from legal minds, PR strategists, and even old family associates who were known for navigating the entertainment world's darker corners. He wasn't seeking favors, he was seeking clarity. Part of the panic came from watching how fast narratives evolve online. Someone can trend at noon and be canceled by dinner. He saw clips of himself resurface, often in contexts that didn't match reality. People were stitching old footage into new accusations. He felt like he was playing a game where the rules changed every hour. And inside that chaos, rumors began circulating that he might face questioning. Not charges, not accusations, just basic questioning. But even the idea of being summoned for something he had nothing to do with was enough to send him into a spiral. In his mind, questioning equals headlines. Headlines equal assumptions, and assumptions equal long-term damage. There was also the emotional weight of navigating family loyalty under pressure. While many people online were quick to blame or speculate, the truth is more complex. Families in the spotlight don't have the luxury of dealing with things privately, Every moment becomes content. Every emotion becomes a meme. So he began pulling back from the people he normally trusted, not because he didn't love them, but because he didn't want one wrong conversation to leak into the public sphere and cause even more chaos. That isolation only intensified the panic, making him feel like he was fighting battles on multiple fronts. He eventually realized that he needed a long-term plan, not a reaction, not a statement, not a soundbite, but a roadmap to protect himself from the ripple effect of everything happening around him. And that's when the calls for help escalated. He wasn't just begging for guidance anymore. He was begging for a strategy strong enough to withstand a public storm he never asked to be part of. In the weeks that followed, the industry shift became undeniable. Conversations at events became more cautious. Brand managers started pausing deals instead of canceling them outright. Influencers who once flocked to him for clout suddenly kept their distance. It wasn't malicious, just survival. No one wants to be the wrong association at the wrong time. And as those subtle withdrawals started stacking up, he began to understand the unspoken rule of the entertainment world. Loyalty is conditional, and protection isn't guaranteed. That realization pushed him into his most desperate phase yet. Insiders said he was actively calling anyone with influence, producers, executives, lawyers, even rivals, asking for advice on how to stay afloat. What shook him most wasn't the loss of deals, it was the loss of certainty. For years, he had a roadmap, music releases, brand partnerships, events, appearances. Now everything was up in the air. Even his team didn't know how to move. Should they keep him active to show confidence or pull him back to avoid feeding the narrative? Every option carried risk. It was like walking a tightrope in a hurricane. And the worst part, he knew people were watching his every move, waiting to twist it into something else. Online, the speculation machine kept spinning. Content creators analyzed his facial expressions, his silence, his outfit choices, his location. People began building their own theories, connecting their own dots, creating their own conclusions. Even though nothing factual tied him to wrongdoing, the atmosphere was tense enough to make anyone feel like they were under a microscope. That's when the fear of time inside resurfaced, not as a real possibility, but as a symbol of everything he felt he was losing control of. Symbolically, time inside meant losing his freedom to move, to speak, to dream, to control his public identity. Some insiders said he even started talking about leaving the country temporarily just to get space, not to escape anything, but to escape the noise. But leaving would have made things look suspicious, and staying made things feel suffocating. This was the psychological trap he found himself in. Every decision had a consequence, every silence had a meaning, every action became a headline waiting to happen. This period also forced him to confront who his real support system was. Some people surprised him by stepping up, others shocked him by disappearing. But through that emotional roller coaster, he realized he couldn't rely on public sympathy or industry connections. He needed a strong personal foundation, something that couldn't be taken away by rumors or speculation. That's when he reportedly shifted from panic to preparation mode. He started listening more carefully to the people advising him, started taking accountability for how he moved, started understanding the weight of public perception. He wasn't out of danger, not socially, not professionally, but he was finally learning how to navigate the storm instead of drowning in it. By the time the dust began to settle, he had undergone a transformation that few public figures experience so early in life. Panic gave way to perspective, desperation gave way to strategy, and confusion gave way to clarity. He'd learned one of the hardest lessons any celebrity can face. Sometimes the world assigns you a narrative you didn't write, and you have to fight like hell to reclaim the pen. The rumors continued, but he stopped reacting to every spark. Instead, he focused on rebuilding his public identity slowly and deliberately. Instead of chasing the spotlight, he started creating his own lane, one based not on fame, but on resilience. He also began repairing relationships strained by the chaos. Friends who distanced themselves eventually circled back, realizing the situation wasn't what the internet made it seem. Partners who paused deals quietly reopened conversations behind closed doors. People who doubted him began seeing the maturity he brought to the situation. His team, once scrambling for direction, now had a plan. keep him grounded, keep him protected, keep him strategic, and above all, keep him out of unnecessary drama. There were moments where he still feared that one headline could undo all his progress. That's the nature of fame. Stability is fragile, but he learned how to move smarter. He stopped feeding into narratives, stopped giving energy to speculation, stopped letting panic dictate his decisions. Instead, he leaned into growth. He began focusing on projects that reflected who he wanted to become, not who people assumed he was. And slowly, the industry began viewing him differently, not as someone caught in the shadow of someone else's downfall, but as someone who survived his own storm and came out stronger. His calls for help weren't signs of weakness, they were turning points. They showed that he was aware of the stakes, aware of the risks, and aware of how quickly everything could be taken away. And that awareness became his strength. He wasn't a passive character in a scandal storyline anymore. He was someone rewriting his future one decision at a time. In the end, the rumors of time inside faded, not because people forgot them, but because reality proved them baseless. He never faced charges. He never faced questioning. He never faced any direct consequences tied to speculation. What he faced was something harder, the battle between public perception and personal truth. And he won, not by fighting loudly, but by surviving quietly. As he stepped back into the spotlight with renewed purpose, one thing became clear. The panic that once shook him became the fuel that rebuilt him. He learned who he was when everything fell apart. He learned who stood beside him, and he learned how to rebuild from the ground up. His story isn't about scandal. It's about survival, growth, and learning to stand firm when the world tries to collapse your identity. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dive stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to stay locked in.